Hey everyone, ever thought about making money, without really doing anything?
Like while you sleep.
Exactly. Today we're looking into those passive income apps that let you earn just by sharing your extra internet bandwidth.
This is pretty good to me.
We've got two specifically we're going to dive into. EarnApp and Honeygain. We'll see how they work, what you can really earn, and anything you should be careful about.
Yeah, gotta make sure you're making an informed choice.
Definitely. Okay, so first things first. How do these things even work? It's like magic, right?
Eh,
Making money from thin air.
Well, not exactly magic. It's more about using what you already have. You see, most of us don't use our full internet bandwidth all the time.
Right.
These apps use that leftover bandwidth, kind of like renting it out to companies who need it.
Hmm. So it's like renting out a spare room.
Exactly. You're making money from something you're not fully using. And just like being a landlord, it's passive income. You set it up and just let it run in the background.
I like the sound of that. Okay, let's start with EarnApp. One thing that stands out is that it works on like a ton of devices, right? Windows, Android, even Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, pretty much anything you can think of. EarnApp is available on a wide range of devices, meaning you could potentially earn from your phone, laptop, even that old Raspberry Pi you have lying around.
So many earning opportunities. And speaking of earning, how much are we talking here? EarnApp says it's like 26 cents per gigabyte shared. Is that good?
It does sound tempting, but remember, expectations should be realistic. The source we looked at, their earnings varied from week to week.
So it's not like a steady paycheck.
Right, it fluctuated, and it wasn't like they were making tons of money.
That makes sense. It's still extra cash, though. I noticed they made more from their laptop than their phone. I guess that's because they use their laptop more.
Yeah, earnings depend on how much you use your device and share data, so running the app on devices you use regularly is key.
Makes sense. Now, onto the referral program. EarnApp gives you 10% of what your friends earn, and it's for life.
That is pretty generous. Plus, they mention earning up to $5 for each Bright VPN referral, although the requirements for that are a little fuzzy.
A little mystery there. Okay, but let's talk about actually getting paid. The source we looked at got their earnings through PayPal.
Yeah, they had to pay a small fee, but it came within a week.
So not instant, but not bad either.
No, it's a pretty smooth process.
Cool. All right, let's move on to Honeygain. They make it sound super easy. Sign up, download, run. 3 simple steps.
They really emphasize the ease of use, don't they? And focus on how you can use that money for things you already do, subscriptions, gaming, even saving.
Smart way to get people thinking about what they could do with the extra cash.
It definitely makes it feel relatable and achievable.
Now, how's their referral program compared to EarnApp's?
Honeygain gives a flat $25 each month for every 10 friends you refer.
So that's a fixed reward instead of a percentage.
Yeah, a different approach. But one thing the source didn't really say was how much you actually earn.
They focus more on the ease and potential, but not the specifics.
Yeah, you might have to dig a little deeper to find concrete numbers on earnings, but that's pretty common with these kinds of passive income things.
Okay, so I've got 2 apps, EarnApp and Honeygain, both promising extra cash just for sharing unused internet bandwidth. We've seen how they work, what you might earn, and a little about referrals.
But before you jumped in, there are some important things to think about. We'll get into those details next time.
Stay tuned, because we're going to dive deeper into what you need to know before hitting that download button.
All right, so welcome back. We talked about the basics of EarnApp and Honeygain, but now let's get into some of the nitty-gritty, the stuff you really need to think about.
Yeah, because as cool as easy money sounds, there are always things to consider, especially when we're talking about sharing our internet bandwidth.
Exactly. One thing people often ask about is the data these apps collect. EarnApp is actually pretty upfront about it. They gather public web data like product prices, travel info, that sort of thing.
Okay, so what does that mean? Public web data.
It's the kind of information that's already out there. Think about it like this. Businesses and researchers need data to understand what's going on, like market trends, what consumers are doing. So this public web data is really valuable to them.
So maybe they use it to figure out how to price things or what travel destinations are popular.
Exactly. Imagine a company wants to launch a new product, say a pair of sneakers. They could use EarnApp to see what other similar sneakers are selling for online. That helps them set a good price.
Or a travel agency could use it to see what flights and hotels people are booking.
Right. It's like a huge data collection project, but it's all happening in the background through people's internet connections.
That's pretty wild when you think about it. Like all this seemingly normal internet stuff is actually valuable data.
It is, and that's why transparency is so important. Users need to know how their data is being used, and EarnApp seems to get that. They're upfront about it.
But still, each person has to decide if they're okay with that level of data sharing.
Right. It's a personal choice.
Okay, so what about Honeygain? What data do they collect?
They're a bit more vague about the specifics. They say they provide businesses with valuable insights, but they don't really break it down like EarnApp does.
Hmm. Maybe they just explain things differently. EarnApp seems more technical, and Honeygain focuses more on the ease of use and the potential rewards.
Could be. It's also possible they use the data slightly differently. If you're really concerned about data collection, you might need to dig a little deeper into Honeygain.
Okay, makes sense. Now, let's talk security. We mentioned that Google Play Protect warning about EarnApp being potentially harmful. What are some general security risks with these kinds of apps?
Well, anytime you install an app, there's a potential security risk, right? Apps can be infected with malware, and that could put your data at risk.
So how can people protect themselves?
First of all, stick to official app stores. And be careful about apps that ask for a ton of permissions they don't really need.
Like if an app that's just supposed to share bandwidth wants access to my camera or microphone.
Exactly. Always be cautious. And keep your devices and apps updated. That helps patch security holes.
Good advice.
Mm.
What about using these apps with a VPN? Do they usually work well together?
It depends on the app and how it's designed. Some might work fine with a VPN, others might not.
So if you use a VPN, you should double check with the app.
Yeah, always a good idea. And remember, a VPN is just one layer of protection. It's not like a magic shield.
Right, it doesn't make you completely invincible online. So it seems like using these apps has some risks, like anything else we do online.
That's true. You always have to weigh the risks and rewards.
And make informed choices based on your own comfort level.
Exactly.
Okay, well, we've covered a lot today. How EarnApp and Honeygain work, what you might earn, security stuff.
Yeah, but there's one more important thing to talk about before we wrap up our deep dive.
Ooh, a cliffhanger. Don't worry, everyone. We'll be right back with the last part of our look into these passive income apps. All right, welcome back. We've talked about how EarnApp and Honeygain work, how much you can earn, and some security stuff to keep in mind.
And now we got to zoom out a bit, look at the bigger picture. These apps are part of something bigger, right? It's called the sharing economy.
Oh yeah, like ride-sharing apps or renting out your place on Airbnb. You're basically making money from something you already own.
Exactly. And in this case, it's your unused internet bandwidth.
Right. But that makes me wonder, what happens if more and more people start doing this? What does it mean for the internet as a whole?
That's a great question. Will it make the internet faster, more accessible for everyone? Or could it create new problems?
It's hard to say for sure. It's definitely something to think about. Another thing I was wondering about is how these companies actually make money. Who's paying for this bandwidth and why?
Yeah, someone has to be paying, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be in business. Well, it turns out businesses and researchers are willing to pay for access to this data.
The data that EarnApp and Honeygain collect.
Yep. Remember we talked about EarnApp collecting public web data like prices and travel info? That kind of stuff is really valuable for businesses. Ah, so they're kind of like the middleman. They connect people who have extra bandwidth with companies who need data.
Exactly. It's a data exchange. And everybody gets something out of it. People earn money, companies get data, and the app developers, they make a profit from connecting them.
Wow, it's a whole ecosystem.
It really shows you how the internet is constantly changing, creating new opportunities. But it also reminds us that nothing's really free, right? Someone's always paying for the internet, whether it's us buying internet service or companies investing in the infrastructure or these businesses buying data.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. We looked at how EarnApp and Honeygain work, what you can potentially earn, some security stuff, and their place in this whole sharing economy thing.
We even talked about the business model behind it all.
I feel like I understand a lot more about these apps now.
And that's what we wanted to do, right? Give you the info you need to make an informed decision.
Exactly. So what's the most important thing for our listeners to take away from all of this? I think it comes down to this. There are trade-offs. You can earn some passive income, but you're also sharing some data and trusting the app developers with your internet connection.
Right. You have to find the right balance for yourself. Some people might be fine with sharing their bandwidth. Others might not be so comfortable.
And that's totally okay.
Yeah.
The key is to do your research, think about the pros and cons, and decide what's right for you.
And it's always good to stay up to date on new tech stuff, right? So you can make smart choices about how you use the internet.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's been a fascinating look into the world of these passive income apps. Hopefully you all enjoyed it.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. Stay curious and keep exploring.